Welcome to Cracked Movie Club, the show where we do a book club, but for movies, which are like books, but better. I'm your host, Jordan Breeding, and I'm killing it. And I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jesse and Allie. Say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Killing it. Similarly,
pretty
just
good so
bang,
far as well.
setting them up, knocking them down.
Oh my God,
Hey.
I feel lit today, as the kids say. And oh my God, we have got the face of Fluvanna County, according to something that I already forgot the name of in Virginia. Fluvanna County is a real thing. Jesse didn't think it was real because Jesse has never read a book.
Oh, Jesse's never
Never
read
once
a
in his
map
life.
of the United
No
States.
culture at all.
Devin Byam. Say hello, Devin.
Hey, everybody.
Devin and I have been friends since we were 6. And we roomed together all 4 years of college. He lives right down the
that's
road
cool.
now.
Wow.
All of our children are betrothed to each other.
They are.
No,
That's
but
how to
Can
keep
do
it
that.
loyal.
yeah, right.
That's how to
It's
keep
very-
Our
them
bloodlines
loyal.
are tied for generations to come. It's very exciting.
Yeah,
And
it's very
actually, much
Game of
like that
Thrones.
season of Fargo, you're gonna give one kid to Jesse and vice versa, and then that way your families can
Ah.
never betray each other because you have a kid from each family.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Oh,
Yep.
Great
yeah.
season of
Yep,
Fargo,
yep, yep.
by the way. We're not
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about that today, but
But it is a good movie and a good show.
great
Not-
show. One of my
Not
faves.
a common thing.
Speaking of movies, no,
Yes, transition here.
That was
The
really good. You're
Counselor.
already getting the hang of it.
thank you.
Yeah, we're going to transition because Devin is a licensed counselor, therapist. I think that's
Professional
interchangeable.
counselor, opposed to
Yeah.
the casuals. Yes.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Oh, you're a therapist? Name 3 things that are wrong with me.
Okay, we're gonna start with just things I see.
Not Allie. Not Allie.
plain white room. That's fucked up. That's weird. Why is it plain and white? Where are you? So you
Clearly,
captive
are
or
a serial
something?
killer.
It's a new apartment. That's why it's plain.
Oh, that's right. You just moved. How?
Just moved.
Sorry to walk back my joke so fast. How is it?
It's fine.
It's much like Jesse
Very
himself.
lonely.
It's plain, it's white, and it's empty inside.
Why is the ceiling so low? Why can you touch it?
It's so much lower than my old one. Is like a vaulted ceiling. I couldn't jump and touch it. This one is.
You're sitting and you can touch the ceiling.
Oh no, I'm standing.
Do you know how to chairs yet?
It was like the Becoming John Malkovich or whatever. You're on like the
Yeah,
13th
yeah.
and a half floor or
I-
whatever.
Yeah, I found a door that enters me, luckily, into Devin's brain, so I can pilot Devin.
We're gonna
Good.
turn him into the best puppeteer the world has ever seen. But speaking of movies, that's my segue that I just came up with. Let's talk about Lucky Number Slevin, because that's a movie that I believe Brian has misspelled, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian.
Brian's fired. But that's fine. We'll find somebody else. People are I get applications all the time trying to run this podcast.
It appears
Ryan, you
we're
can keep
looking
your
for a new
job.
contractor.
Ryan, you can keep your job if you Brady Bunch yourself in here with a little "Oops, I'm sorry" face.
Yeah. Ain't I a stinker? That's good. That's exactly what I wanted.
And he's back.
Oh, sorry. I fired Brian too quickly. It's fine. Lucky Number Slevin. We do spoilers, especially for movies that are like 15 years old. So here it comes, because some of these nerds couldn't keep up with all the twists. So I'm gonna give the twists as I saw them, and then
Yeah,
Devin
let's
is
do it.
gonna
I wanna hear
explain
'em
why we
all.
watched it. So in the year 1979, I want to say,
Off
there's
to a
a
good start.
there's a young boy whose daddy bets on a horse, because he heard from a guy that they juice the horse up with drugs or something. So he's a
A
sure
sure
bet
thing.
to win. He's a sure thing. Otherwise, he would never do it. He's not a gambler. He's not crazy. But inevitably, the horse dies, or like on the track or something.
And that's what happens when you get too juiced up with drugs, kids.
It's true.
You
This
might
is
die in the middle of a
obviously
horse
little.
race.
Yeah,
find the
do
sweet
a
spot.
moderate amount of drugs.
And then the dad gets killed because he can't pay his debts, and there's like a new gang in town that's like, we're not going to take any shit from nobody. Nobody can take bad deals anymore. They kill him, they kill the kid, they kill the mom. Flash forward,
Kill the horse.
they kill the horse. They beat the shit out of the horse or something. Yeah,
But didn't
right.
society actually kill that horse with our pressures and expectations?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. It Yeah, and also it was glue now. And so fast forward 20 years or whatever, there's this guy, he finds his girlfriend cheating, he loses his job, so he goes to crash with his buddy in New York named Nick, but Nick's not there. And yet two rival gangs both need things from Nick, unfortunately. And, hilarity ensues, cases of mistaken identity, the cops talk to him. There's a hottie across the hall that he bonds with, and here's what happens. Turns out that the kid is now the grown-up Josh Hartnett. He is getting revenge because there was a time where these two rival gangs, one is Morgan Freeman helmed, and the other is Ben Kingsley helmed. So lots of A-list actors in this movie. They used to be buds, and then Morgan Freeman was getting too popular and too cute. So Ben Kingsley shot him in the stomach 7 times, but it didn't stick. So now they're just like 6 times. So now they're literally across the street, locked away in their castles. So Josh Hartnett working, and I realize now I'm about to try and explain all of this. It's going to be very tricky. Josh Hartnett was not killed as a kid, and the guy that would kill him is Bruce Willis, who's a world-class assassin, and he adopts the little kid and trains him to be a world-class assassin, and I guess as a favor to his adopted son, decides to help him work out this crazy Kansas City shuffle. And so they do a bunch of things and they do a bunch of stuff, and then he kills Morgan Freeman and Ben Kingsley together as the great, glorious revenge. And then also he falls in love with Lucy. Is it Lou? How do you say her last name?
Lucy Liu.
Lucy Liu. And they even
Whimsical
her
name.
death, and it's fine. And as somebody pointed out here, Bruce Willis was going to kill her because he didn't want to leave a trace, but then he notices, and then it doesn't matter. And he says, "How did you know that I tricked you?" He's like, "I'm a world-class assassin, fuckhead," which is a pretty great line. There's like a million things. Like the basic gist is that somebody kills Morgan Freeman's son, and so he hires Bruce Willis to come in and kill the other Ben Kingsley's son. And Bruce Willis has this idea to use somebody on the books because they still have all these. And this guy Nick owes him a ton of money, and then they just replace that guy with Josh Hartnett, who's like, "I'm not Nick." Which okay, so here's a question because I was texting Devin a little bit. Well, we'll do this in a second. Devin, why did we watch this movie? This crazy.
We watched this movie because it is literally the greatest movie of all time. I've seen it 10,000 times, give or take 1,000, and I think the thing I love about it the most is what you just highlighted so well, Jordan, which is if you try to explain the movie to any other human being, it sounds like absolute untrackable nonsense. But as you're watching it, even like it is very twisty and you got to watch it a couple of times to really let it soak in. But as you're watching it, it doesn't feel so ridiculous. But
I
then,
do
like,
agree
you
that
take a
Jordan
step back and you see it and you're like, what did I watch? Like, what happened? How do you even digest this? So that's it.
I agree that Jordan did a great job of explaining it terribly.
I got it. I will say, like, that is what I thought happened, was like a little self-conscious that I was going to say something and you guys were all going to go, when did that happen? And me go, oh, I thought that. But then hearing you summarize it, I was like, okay, cool. We're all on the same page. We saw the same movie. But yeah, it is very twisty. Like for, not in the modern day way of like they tell you a twist and you should have seen it coming, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves of all time that like a lot of movies right now do, where they'll like give you the world's shittiest clue in the first 2 minutes of the movie when you're still like adjusting your popcorn in your lap, and then later be like, don't you see? You should have known it was that guy. And it's like, you didn't write a very good mystery.
So
a twist isn't just something you say.
They did
like,
do that though.
Yeah, but like it's like
they showed the watch, they showed the shotgun, they showed
that's what I'm saying. Though.
ring.
I'm actually saying that they do a really good job of like,
okay, gotcha.
They don't do that thing where they say one thing one time once ever and then like pretend you're supposed to guess it by the end. And like I think that they like indulge in the twistiness of it and are sort of like, it's cool if we're not trying to get you to guess it, we're trying to surprise you. And then we'll show you we did our homework by showing you flashing back, oh, the watch, oh, the this, oh, the whatever. And so I like that. I like I'm a big like I love like mystery stuff and like escape rooms, and like my dream is to be a little boy detective who solves murders on a train. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in another life.
Yeah,
And so
Boxcar
like
Children or
yeah,
something.
I just like I
Yeah.
really hate it when a piece of media tells me I should have been able to solve a mystery that is totally unsolvable by an outside audience. Like that just makes me crazy.
So yeah, and that's fair. So I have a couple of quick questions that I want Devin, our resident Lucky Number Slevin expert, to help me with. So there's kind of two things. The first thing I was saying was, I was trying to figure out exactly why Bruce Willis, the world-class assassin, was willing to do all this. And I think the answer is just it's his adopted son and whatever. But the thing that there are a couple of things I got hung up on, which is why is Josh Hartnett, why is he constantly saying that he's not Nick? What is he gaining from that? Because the thing that we learn is that neither of these gangsters know who the hell Nick is. He's just another name that happens to have gambled with both of them, which is why they choose this guy Nick, because he owes both of these people money. So when Bruce Willis is like, hey, I think you should use Nick for this thing, they're like, well, yeah, he does owe us money. I guess that makes sense. But
So
why,
what does he stand to gain by saying like you got the wrong guy?
yeah, like what is he gaining by constantly, like, I'm trying to figure out if it's like it thwarts the cops somehow.
The way that I receive it is that he is going for maximum amount of like making them suffer and then playing on their hubris. Because like he's literally going in there and being like, you have the wrong guy. And if you spent 5 seconds trying to figure it out, then this whole thing could be averted. And it's like I think he's just really playing into the fact that like they're going to do exactly what he expects them to do. Like, I think there's a component of it where he's just playing a game with them. And like, he's ultimately trying to kill them. Like we talked about this. He could have just rolled in there and shot everybody. He apparently is like the most amazing assassin ever.
And he kind of does, right? That was the
the
part that I was confused. I was like, he's like, I tricked you all. And then it's just like bodies of dudes lying in the elevator. I'm like, well, you could have,
You
I mean, you could massacre people at any point.
Yeah, but then you don't get to monologue.
Yeah, well, and also like
They love a good monologue in this.
Everybody loves a good monologue.
But also like the scene where, Morgan Freeman rightly says, what the hell? I hired you to make it look like an accident, and then you just blew up the guy's apartment. And he's like, yep. And you're like,
oh yeah, guess I did.
I get the sense that like there is a little bit of a thing of like, if he was just like, yeah, you got me, I'm Nick, but I swear I'll get you your money back, it kind of puts him at a position of like, they're already sort of antagonists, where if he's like, no, I'm not Nick, and I'll do anything to prove to you that you shouldn't kill me because whatever, then they can sort of like pretend they, as the thought, who they think is a manipulator, can be like, oh, here's a guy who got caught up in too much business. I'll tell him I'll spare his life. I'll make his life easier if he goes and does all this junk for me. Do you know what I'm saying?
I got a theory. Yes. And I think that's solid. I also think Lucy Liu busts in and he has to come up with something right there. He already planned to like, I got beat up and I got all my ID stolen because he was going to have to do that anyway, right?
Right.
Like, he still can't have ID that says I'm Nick because he's not Nick. So maybe Lucy Liu busts in when he's got his dick out and he immediately is like, my name. Now he does, to Devin's point, the name that he gives is very like, if you knew your own shitty past, you would recognize that Slevin is a horse and you killed my dad and all this stuff. But I wonder if it's a little bit of like it's a cover story that's sort of just built in that moment because Lucy Liu busts in asking for sugar and it's like, you're not Nick. And he's like, of course I'm not Nick.
Right.
Why would I be
just
Nick?
got stuck here. Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
here because, and even still, it works with a cover story with cops and stuff like that. It's helpful to obfuscate in some sense. It's just initially it feels like an extra step. That is cool, but unclear the reasoning.
And she is a coroner.
Yes.
Yeah.
She works in a morgue. I have never seen a person with weirder hours. That woman works whenever she feels like it.
No, I think the bodies come and they go. I mean, I don't know that people die.
You think you're allowed to just go home? They're just like, hey, we're out of bodies today, so if you want to go home early, and she's like, oh, tight, thanks. It's 1:30. I'm gonna.
I mean, maybe she's
No.
really good at what she does, and she just owns the place.
We'll
It's
call you.
like,
Yeah,
We'll
maybe
call
she
you. We're gonna
manages
need
lucky to
bodies.
have you, Lucy. Head in, head out. That's fine.
Yeah. She's like, are you sure I could do some admin work? And they're like, no, not you. You're the best in the biz. We'll have somebody way under your pay grade do the admin work. You should just go home and chill for the next body. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
go solve some crimes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and
Get
make something with some
precocious stamp,
sugar.
Get out of here.
Hope I have sugar at home when I get there because I really want to bake today.
And a
Yeah.
cup. It's very important. I have to monologue about whether or not I have a cup already or not.
Yeah.
It's like if I had a cup, I wouldn't ask for a cup of sugar. I'd just ask for some sugar.
Yeah, and then I pictured her putting out her hands like this and just taking the
Yeah.
sugar back to her apartment.
As far as like all their quips and like little like pedantic little back and forths go, I feel like they're all Dick Tracy characters.
Yeah.
Like almost every line could be followed by "see."
Yeah.
the, the movie
I wanted
is
a cup of
very
sugar, I wanted to set a
The
cup of
tone
sugar.
the movie is that, like, even like with the wallpaper, it just like they fast forward to the future, but like everything still feels like it's pretty locked into the 70s. Like,
Yeah. It's very
just-
like it's very snippy, snappy dialogue. It's very fun with and like quick moving with its like camera angles and things like that. Like there's a lot of like, we'll go behind the wall and scooch up, or like there's like a moment where like the mob boss is looking out the window and it like follows his gaze out the window and turns around the street, and then it's, oh my god, it's the rabbis across the street. Like it's all these like fun camera reveals and things. I was gonna save this for later because I wanted to talk about like the actual movie first, but I guess we're on it. Has anybody ever watched Pushing Daisies?
My mom always tells me to, but
It is a really, really great TV show that was sort of a casualty of their writer's strike, and it like kind of died and shouldn't have, and was kind of sad. The entire time I was watching this movie, I was like, this is kind of Pushing Daisies, which is also always a murder mystery. There's always a body. It has like a love interest at the center that is sort of unusually chaste for how bloody and obscene the rest of the world around it is. Like their back and forth is very like enthusiastic and childlike, and like there's obviously sexual tension, but like their back and forths are very like there's something Hays Code about it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very just like we're in love with each other's minds and brains, and we love to flirt, but like it's never more than I like touch your shoulder. Do you know what I mean?
well,
and like
then they quite literally. I mean, they do have sex.
I know, but like that's not
Okay.
like with 3 lines into the movie. Like
Oh, sure.
like there's like a real payoff. Like it really like at first they're just kind of like flirting, and they have like their little back and forth, and everything feels sort of 70s inspired, and I don't know. There was something about it that really reminded me of Pushing Daisies, and I was like, I wonder if anybody else felt that from this film.
Well, we'll throw it
so
to the chat.
we'll see.
Pushing
I don't know if
Daisies.
anybody else-
Anybody that's seen it?
Yeah.
I realized I'd written it down. I'm sorry. I'm just hung up on this now. But he says at one point, Josh Hartnett says, the villain is most effective when you don't know what he looks like. That's also just kind of his vibe. He was talking about something else. But yeah, I agree. I it's very much sort of a Quentin Tarantino meets I wrote it down somewhere and now I can't find it, but like the dialogue is so heightened as to be unbelievable in some sense. But I think what is the saving grace of this movie is it does a really good job of still grounding. I know what Devin's alternate title is, but it's like there is actually sort of a legitimate earned rom-com in the middle of it somewhere where you actually are like, look at them.
Yeah. I agree with that.
You don't get that in most Tarantino movies. You might get like romance because it's his wife and he's saving his wife or whatever, but it's not like, there's not like a meet cute in the
That's
middle.
what I'm saying. There's an awe quality that you are also sort of touching on, that it's like yes, it starts with her literally seeing his naked penis and being like, wow, wow, wee, wah. But like the flirting and the like back and forth that they have is not entirely driven by this like sexual. It doesn't. The undercurrent is quite like rom-com-y, kind of cute. Can I take you to dinner-y? Do you know what I mean? Like, and then she has that whole thing. This is the only part of the movie I didn't like, where she's like, it's like Columbo, and Columbo always says there's 3 things you have to do when you whatever, and she says 3 things Columbo's never said in the history of Columbo. That was insane
I've
to
been
me.
watching
I don't know.
Columbo to know.
I mean, if I don't understand how that happened, I don't know how this ended up in the script. She literally is like, it's like Columbo. Well, it would be like if she was like, how the Fonz always used to walk into a room and go, "It's the Fonz," and he'd be like, "No, he didn't. He said A," and it'd be like it was that crazy. Like, it's something he's never said, something like that's never been a part of that show. She could have made up a fake detective that exists in this world and only this world, and that's not Columbo, and given that to be his catchphrase. Sorry, now I'm on another tangent. But what I'm trying to say is they have a very intellectual back and forth, and it's kind of cute.
Right.
And so then, when they eventually do a, the sexual release or whatever, it feels quite earned, but it also feels like it feels rom-com-y as opposed to I'm finally reunited with my dead wife who's not really dead.
Yeah. Right. I think that's a really good point, which is you can see all that rapid fire dialogue. Everybody feels like they're playing a bit of a part. And I think that's, you can build that into the characters where it's like you're saying, they're testing each other's wit instead of just being like, well, obviously Josh Hartnett's looking good standing there in his bathrobe and Lucy Liu in her, sleepwear or whatever, but they're not just like throwing each other against the wall immediately. They're kind of just playing.
Yeah.
I always liked Lucy Liu for her brain, especially in 2006.
This was when she was most known.
White the brain in 2006.
But her energy in this movie is quite infectious. Do you know what I mean?
It's
obviously she is gorgeous to look at. It's like, it's silly not to say that. But
well, thank God you did.
I don't know. There's just a quality about her in this movie that is not quite like other movies I've seen her in, and I thought it was delightful, and I thought she played that sort of film noir-y, back and forth, quirky, quippy humor really well. And so did Josh Hartnett.
I actually
Their
wrote
chemistry
down.
was real.
I wrote down for him. He sort of is a him fatale, but he doesn't really use. He's not using her really. I mean, he kind of is. It is funny how he's sort of indulging her in the mystery. Like,
he knows everything and is like, wow, what do you think's happening?
But it is funny. It's funny that at no point, I think that's what's interesting about it, right? Is at any point he could have been like, I don't want to talk about this, like, go away, weird woman. I kind of got a job to do. But he is kind of like, well, she's cute. Like, let's just keep it going. And I do think some of it comes back to his lack of fear or whatever. He has, what do you call, apraxia or something, where he has a mental condition. Is that real, Devin? Counselor?
I don't think so. But so
Isn't it true though that some people, like the people who we call like adrenaline junkies, need a
I mean, he definitely, I think
life.
you could argue that he experienced a significant trauma that alters his like stress response in a pretty huge way.
So you're saying he got
I feel very used now. I didn't realize it was being brought on for this.
You picked the movie, dude.
I know. That's fine. So this is you knew you set up the puzzle pieces.
Also, do you think he really has that, or is that another little?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he did. Like, I think that's one of the things that makes him really interesting is I do think that he legitimately doesn't feel like worry or concern through the whole movie. And I don't know if that's just he's cool as a cucumber. Like, he's just good at his job. But one of the things I did notice this time watching it, and for you guys, when you watch it 10,001 times, you'll see it, is you could actually see him, like, at no point in the movie is he like look like he's puzzling, except for when he's talking to Lucy Liu. And so like she'll say things and he'll like break eye contact, or like the scene where he's going into the fridge. It was like really intentional because she's putting things together, I think, faster than he realized she would. And so you can see him actually like trying to come up with lies, versus every other point in the movie, it's playing out exactly the way he thought it would. And then whenever she comes in and does stuff, you can tell like he actually gets surprised, or like there's a point where he like looks borderline concerned because like when she talks about taking the picture, you could see it for like a half second where he was like, oh,
there's
Like-
also that moment where she's like, as a coroner, I can work whatever hours I feel like. So I decided to go downtown, and guess who I saw leaving that building? You.
Yeah.
And there is just the slightest little moment of, whoops, I need to redirect what my clever alibi will be.
Right.
That's great, though. That feels like maybe this is for another video sometime, but like in the Hollywood history, if you watch movies that are in the the early 40s, they are much more explicit and have a lot more that they are allowed to show on screen. And there was the Hays Code, which went into like basically the late 50s, early 60s, which said if a woman and a man are going to be shown on a bed, they have to be sitting and not laying down, and one of her legs has to be on the floor. It's like really, really specific stuff.
That's how I like to have sex.
Joke's on you. That's how I like it.
We're both
but like,
sitting.
what excelled when they couldn't show explicit action, was dialogue. They had to really sell that these people had a connection that felt organic and challenging and exciting. But since they couldn't do anything like sexual, it truly had to be like verbal sparring, which is why you go back and see these like My Girl Friday type films where women seem to be so much smarter in movies than now, because people have gotten kind of lazy again, and now we can have both feet on the bed when we have sex.
I think
Do you know
it's
what I'm
because of fluoride in the water.
Hmm?
I think it's because of fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
Made us
Or
all
chemtrails.
dumber for real.
Yep.
Yay! I got one.
Oh, I think that's
Women
I think-
ain't as smart as they used to be.
What? Are you sure that wasn't for Jesse immediately about to go on a fluoride rant? Let's
I
bring
don't know. I
Brian.
kinda wish it
Let's
was
throw
for
to the
me.
judges. Was that for who was that for?
Yeah, it was for the fluoride.
Yeah,
I don't-
exactly. It wasn't for you,
Sorry,
Allie.
Now
Sorry.
try harder next time. Allie.
Yeah, sorry, you're fired. Brian, are you fired? Why are you here? No, just kidding. Yeah, I love fluoride.
I love fluoride. My
I
teeth are
brush
so
my teeth
strong.
with it every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, this movie had a fun little callback to while we were able to still get the like gratification of seeing them do it later, for a very long time it's just like a battle of the wits, and you are meant to like her because she is exciting and smart and mischievous and genial. Do you know what I mean?
I do think, in contrast to Tarantino, there is a whole lot less swearing or like just obscene language because there is kind of this rom-com sweetness in the middle of it, as opposed to, Pulp Fiction. Everybody is a lot rougher coming across. And that is, I think, part of the thing about Josh Hartnett. But like, there is such a heightened fantasy, even to all the gangsters, where he's like, oh, I thought he was the boss. He's like, why? Do we look alike? And it's like, it's such a weird joke. It's just like this. Ben Kingsley's whole character is just, I don't know. It's a little bit, I think, like, it's similar to what people were mad about when he turned out to be the Mandarin or whatever in Iron Man 3, where he's too silly. And I feel like Ben Kingsley here is very much, like Josh Hartnett will say anything. He's like, oh, I've got some thoughts on that. There's no such thing as lucky people. There's only unlucky people. That just there to show that you're lucky, because, you don't know that you're lucky without unlucky people. When you're lucky, you don't know until the next day. And he's like why?
Again,
why are you doing this right now?
Another person in a
Because
profession
he's been
with.
locked in a tower for 1,000 years, and he's a little bit crazy.
Also, is he a currently
Fair.
active rabbi, or was he once a rabbi? Does he have to perform services? What's going on
So he
Shabbat?
says-
This guy seems to never go to work.
I don't know, but he does. He is. He's clearly like studying still, and he still observes the Sabbath.
But,
And he
but
only
he never
murders people
he never
in
goes
self-defense.
downstairs and is like, okay, everybody, it's
I don't think you have
Thursday
to-
night.
Not all rabbis have to be teaching rabbis, do they?
I mean, if you work at a synagogue, you probably perform services.
I don't think he works.
Maybe
at a
they all
synagogue.
come upstairs for a service. Everyone
Maybe
in the
that.
group.
And they're all like, hey, your son, the fairy. And he's like, please don't call my son that. That's kind of rude. That's not going to age well. It's
That's
2006. We're in trouble.
That's the one line that I think. The rest of it's whatever, as far as the way that they approach a lot of that. But the idea that he's like, that's ironic that a criminal would have a gay son. You're like, is it ironic?
Because criminals are tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't
and
have they don't have gay sons. That
How could that possibly happen?
yeah, isn't that just the wackiest thing you ever heard? That line is a little
I wonder when this was written. Because I feel like-
1940. Yeah,
Yeah, well, right, but I mean,
Case
it wasn't written in 2005. You know what I mean? It probably got shopped around and stuff. But I feel like there was a time when people insisted that being gay was a fad. And I feel like maybe that's a remnant from when this was written in like the early 90s. They're like, oh, we already called him the fairy. We already had the explanation. We can't change it.
I feel like he wrote 4,000 clever lines and just punted one. He just was like, he's like, I've said a lot of clever things. I'm going to be honest, Jeff, I don't have anything. I'm kind of out. And he's like, it's fine. We'll leave it. Hopefully nobody will notice.
What?
Well,
the only thing I do
think
know
that-
about. Oh, sorry. You.
Well, I was just gonna. I think it we've circled back to this place like 5 times, and I feel like it's the movie is like locked in 1970. Like it's just like when we were talking about like how the dialogue was written, like the actual like how it looks, how it feels, like so much of it just feels like it's like locked in that time period. But we're in 2000s New Jersey, pow pow pow, and it's like. I think that's one of the things that I really like about it is it doesn't feel like a kind of modern movie. It feels so different, but then it is skinned in a way that you're like, oh, like this feels relevant. But I think that if you literally like had Robert Redford in that movie, he wouldn't feel out of place to me, or like one of those types, like one of those older actors. I'd be like, yeah, like he fits because that's just how the movie's written and that's just how it feels. And I almost like take the fairy line as part of that, where it's just kind of like so much of the movie feels like that's something they would have said in the 70s. And the other part is, how long have these dudes been locked in a tower?
yeah, but
It's
Josh
like,
Hartnett's the one that says that.
Well, he says that, but why do they call him the fairy? And it's just like,
Well,
So Devin's
haven't learned any new language for.
Devin's argument is that it was a different time and it was okay to say back then.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's okay. I'm just saying that my grandpa would have said it.
And
Right.
he's a nice guy. Went to church.
And
all the
he's
time.
been locked in a tower since the 70s.
Yeah, my
So he doesn't know any
grandfather-
better.
ironically, my grandfather is gay. The irony,
You want to
Wow,
hear what I
that's
call my
super
gay
ironic.
grandfather?
So ironic. I think grandpas could be gay. So.
The only thing that I like really learned about the writing of this is that it was written by Jason Smilovic, and maybe also has a co-writing credit with his girlfriend, or maybe I was misreading the sentence and the girlfriend just lived with them also. It was very hard to tell. The sentence was badly structured. But this screenwriter lived with Josh Hartnett, who would always just walk around in a towel. And they were like, wow, wouldn't it be great if in the movie Slevin walked around in a towel a lot? Because
Hey, honey, I noticed you added a part here where our roommate drops his towel and you see his wiener.
that's like that is what I'm saying, because the reasoning behind it that they gave was that it lent him a sort of vulnerable quality. Okay, sure. Sure.
That's why I walk around in a towel all the time.
Yeah, to really show people how vulnerable I am. My towel could fall off at any moment. Like I was like,
It is-
I'll buy that.
it is the lowest towel of all time.
Yeah,
There
he
is-
really
it's
has
like
a thing down
2006.
there.
It's high. It's low-rise jeans and low-rise towels.
Wow.
There's some
It was a wild time.
Wild
some-
time, lawless.
there are some tummy tufts that really could go either way, pubic or otherwise. It's really let's talk about the Hayes Code. I think Hayes might have a problem with that much pubic hair in a
If
film.
you're gonna have that much pubic hair, you gotta.
If
have one
there
foot
are
on
any
the floor.
kids, the Gen Z watching this who want to bring back low-rise jeans, I just need you to understand there is nothing that can be worn with low-rise jeans. Do you understand that yet?
Crop tops?
No. I mean, like like you will always be in a lucky number Slevin situation where you are afraid of something showing on either side. You have to understand that. Learn that now.
They have to
before
learn
you have to do what we all did
through their
for
own mistakes.
I
3.5 to
assume-
4 years in the 20s.
I was assuming that Josh was tucking just in case.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, at
He's
a
ready
certain
for
point, I
anything.
don't know what you do when you film for so long with just a towel and you're in the backseat of a car.
I bet it
just
was like
recognize that things are going to happen. I think it's just like by the end of the day, half of the people in this room are going to have seen Josh Hartnett's penis, and that's just that.
And that is definitely something that screenwriter did not want to have happen. It was merely to
It's like,
play
this
up
is
the
the most
vulnerable
important
quality
part.
of
You
that.
cannot buy this script from me unless I get to see Josh Hartnett. Yes.
he's like then the gangster sits him back down really hard, and he sits him back down even harder. Let's just keep taking this. Just push him down.
Should somebody be
Push him
sitting
down.
on the chair?
Yeah.
Let's try this again. Let's have someone sitting in the chair when you push him down this time. Let's see what happens.
And if anybody sees his wiener, he has to say, "Thanks, but it's not as nice as my roommate's."
My roommate's is bigger.
Yeah, you should see the other guy.
Yeah. I did like that. There definitely was a moment, just tying a couple of different things together, where she comes back in and was like, I want to see if there was a second showing. And he's like, I go back on at 8. That she doesn't ask him out right then. That would have been a lot more like forward and a lot more like, well, then let's date for the sex. But like that's still just like a funny, goofy, flirty thing that she does. And then they don't even like go to dinner until 2 days later.
Yeah.
Or however it all works out. And so I thought that was really, it's funny that it happened so early in them knowing each other. And I appreciate that it still took another half the movie to pay off in any way. Anyway, I think a lot of reviews. So this is like a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I think people are pretty split on it. And I think it does come down to whether you're willing to accept this kind of, it's not a realistic, it's not The Godfather. We're not looking at crime really. It's just really good actors kind of chewing scenery all around each other, and plot twists that if you look too hard might make your brain hurt, but you like the idea of like, and just the goofiest things, like why is Bruce Willis riding like a dumbwaiter to shoot that guy?
I loved that shot. What a fun shot.
What a
Where
goofy-
was that?
But that's the thing. The movie's just fun. Like if
The
you
movie's
look
just
too
fun.
close, it doesn't hold up.
I
But
don't
the whole
care.
time you're just like, I'm having fun. We're all.
I
having
really
fun.
genuinely think movies are not fun enough in a lot of instances. And I say this on this podcast a lot. A really prime example of this is one of my favorite movies, one of the funnest movies of all time, which is Pacific Rim.
Mm.
That
I
is a
agree with you
movie
on
that if you examine it for even half a second, not a single thing makes sense about it. But at every turn, they make the most fun choice. And so if you can just enjoy, the movie is a blast and still has some fun emotional moments and some really good performances that anchor it. And thus, to me, is a great movie. It might not be a good movie, but it's a great movie. And this film has those similar qualities.
I'm pulling this up because Dave Grunwald, I'm going to say, says it reminds me of Brick. And not only is that an astute observation because it's true, but also, so Brick came out right at the same time. And I was just reading Robert, I don't know if he was dead yet. I think it was Ebert's review of this movie. And he specifically mentions Brick. And he says he preferred Brick. And his point was that in Brick, they never wink at the camera. So what it is a bunch of teenagers doing a film noir. And they're all doing literally what we're talking about. They're speaking in 1940s hard-boiled detective femme fatale dialogue.
Yeah, I do know it. But that movie's very serious, right?
But it's 100% straight. The whole
Yeah.
movie. It's just teenagers at a high school doing that. Except for there's one scene where they're about to torture Joseph Gordon-Levitt or whatever. They're going to beat him for information. And one of their moms is like, does anyone want cookies? Like yelling from upstairs. That's kind of the one moment that they're like, just a reminder, this is the weirdest concept you've ever seen. You know, like it's very ridiculous. But Ebert was pointing out, I nailed the pronunciation. Good. David Grujewalsh.
Losing it. We're losing it.
But it's a similar thing at a similar time, taking an old film style and applying it to a modern aesthetic or something. But whereas this movie is like, are we having fun? We're all doing this together. Brick is like, no, this is real. I don't know why I chose to make us all teenagers, but I did, and we're sticking to it. And this movie is a little bit more. It feels a little bit like he also mentions The Usual Suspects, if you all have seen that movie. Usual Suspects is also more serious, but it is a little bit, the twist is so crazy that it's a little bit of that, like, aren't we having fun just being twisty? And like, there's crimes and people do things and people are farting in lineups. And, it's a little bit of that. Isn't it fun to make these kinds of movies? Didn't you used to love these movies when you were a kid? That kind of thing. And I think that makes it very fun. I don't know. I don't really want this movie to be a Tarantino movie. Like, I don't want to feel the weight of all these people dying. Although the plastic bags over the head was very unpleasant. If I'm going to get killed by a criminal, I would prefer not that one.
Wow.
Just me.
Let's go around the room. How do you all want to die?
I've actually seen how you're all going to die. If you guys want to know, tell me if you don't want to know, because I'll say it. I'm just kidding. I like when we watch movies and it reveals weird phobias that people have. Like for me, talking about like the weird long dark hallway that I was scared of in Barbarian, or whenever I say I don't like eyeballs, I'm very scared of eyeball violence. I feel like we learned something about you today.
Do you think it's weird to not want to get smothered to death by a plastic bag? Is that like, am I the only one?
I think we're all cool with it, but
I actually have an appointment to do that real. Can we wrap this up? I'm like, that Josh Hartnett
to
gonna die.
grocery bags and put them over my head. No, like, could I do it?
Would you be able to just sort of like suck in enough and pop a little hole, or maybe bite it?
Look, I don't know how hard you're sucking over there, Jesse, but
oh, I suck.
There's our
I love the idea of this character coming back to this crime scene to sort of clean it up, and Jesse's alive because he's bitten a hole through the bag. And he's like, in all my years, I've never seen a hardened criminal bite a hole through the bag.
Okay, but also you have to keep in mind that these are two proud gang heads of whatever their own empires, and Josh Hartnett is right there. So all it would do is buy them like 3 seconds, like
just
another bag. And he's like, "Good Jesus,
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley," and has to do another one.
A
But like,
second bag, my one weakness.
You wait right here. I'm going back to the store.
I did think it was interesting that Morgan Freeman struggles. Ben Kingsley immediately kind of accepts it.
Difference in characters.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley just
I like that because it sets up how afraid Morgan Freeman is to die. Like, he almost died, and now his whole thing is that he's like terrified to die. And then Ben Kingsley's on the other side, having tried to kill him and being like, life's kind of meaningless.
I did my best.
And then at that point, his son's dead too. So he's like, I've lost everything. Like, I did it the right way, quote unquote, and there's no ending to this other than death. And so
he does do the like, I'll pay you.
Oh yeah.
That's
funny.
And he's like, I don't think that'll work.
Well, yeah, but I like at that point
mean,
too, he's still playing the game. Like, it's like,
Sure.
Oh, like someone hired you to do this, and it's like, as soon as it realizes, like, oh, like this is personal, he's like, all right, well,
Might as well.
we're done here. Like, let's wrap it up.
I also will say I really liked when they chose to finally reveal Bruce Willis in the 70s flashbacks, how they chose to tell us it was the 70s. And I love that they gave him like a mullet wig and a handlebar mustache. Aviators and a big, tall, tan suit. Maybe that's not even true, but in my mind it is. Like, that's the
at least a
image that has
trench
been
coat or like a
painted.
duster. Yeah.
It was- I love when a movie is like, in case you didn't hear what we just said, it's the 70s. Or like when they're like, it's the 60s, and like the flashback starts with like a puff of bong smoke. And you're like, just in case you missed what I said, it's the 60s.
Well, what I love about that, though, that scene is as they're rolling out, they're like, it's 1979. We'll get our revenge in 30 years. Hits the radio, and it's like, it's the Kansas City Shuffle. That's a song that was written for the movie in 2006. So, like, and it has like a rap in it. And I was like, that can't. Like, when I heard
One of
it, I
my
was like,
favorite things
Will
about
Smith
that
in
scene, though,
1979.
like, it's stupid and so small, but in that part where they're driving, the song goes like, they look left and you go right. and there's the two roads, and to go left would be to go back to the city, and then there's to go right, there's like this random dirt road that goes nowhere. And right when it says that in the song, he's like, I'm going right. And you're
Also,
like,
I hate
Kansas City Shuffle.
I hate to kill the mood, but I do think Kansas City Shuffle was originally written in the 20s and was reorchestrated for the 2000s. Remember when we used to remake, remember in the ska era when we do big band songs of ska? Jesse, you have anything to say about that?
No, thank you.
Back when music was good.
Back when real big fish ruled the airwaves.
I looked it up and just saw the 2006 version, but you're right. It is a song about a con. I
will say also, it does seem like it was not a song that made a huge cultural impact, and definitely made much more of a cultural impact being reintroduced in 2006. So I think that's very fair.
Harsh but fair.
It did. It is one of the first songs to introduce a shuffle, which is a distinctive triplet-driven beat.
Well, there you go.
If that's something you were worried about.
So
it was worried.
Put some respect on its name.
I was just going to say, I have in my notes, must have been a good dicking, which seems like a crass way to say, I'm very surprised that Lucy Liu is willing to go along with this con guy who lies about everything. It just murdered so many people. But he seems sweet. So other than
it's that vulnerable quality that you get when you wear
if
a
he
towel.
had been wearing pants, she would have had nothing to do with him.
Not a man in pants. That's so
like
a man. Ugh, that is so like a man to wear pants.
What are you hiding inside those slacks?
I think that goes back to that, like, they're fall in love with each other's minds, though. Like, at that point, I feel like they're just so enamored with each other that it's like, yeah, you're a world-class assassin murderer, and your boss friend father thing is going to come murder me too. I'm in.
Yeah.
But I'm a sapiosexual.
I'm in.
Yeah. It didn't ruin anything. I will say one plot hole I noticed, and I don't really actually blame Bruce Willis for this, but when Bruce Willis is playing chess with all of the identical looking chess pieces, he moves what is ostensibly a knight like a rook. And
well.
Because who was it? It's Morgan Freeman's like, you know this game? Like chess? I'm
familiar.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking to Josh Hartnett when he says that. And actually, I think Bruce Willis is... No, he's playing Morgan Freeman. It doesn't matter. He's clearly taking the knight position and just going straight out. And that's probably the first sign.
Wow.
That
they should have been playing whatever Nintendo
Checkmate,
64
Bruce
game.
Willis.
What games were big in 2006? What were the big video games in 2006?
Halo,
like Madden,
for
yeah.
a couple years.
They should have been playing Madden.
ESPN 2K5.
So that he could go, you know how to play ESPN 2K5?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm always Michael Vick. I'm the Falcons. I'm gonna wreck. Yeah. No, but it was great. They did a lot of those. There was a lot of interesting cinematography, and also even set pieces that didn't really make any sense. Like, it's crazy to think that the ferry's security detail was like on the other side of like a full drywall.
Oh
wall.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
And they were just gonna open fire, I guess, when they heard something suspicious.
They don't open fire. You jump through like this without actually shooting. You're like, yar. They shot the other boyfriend, and they're like, never again. Next time we run through the wall and ask what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Oops. That was on us.
Protocol has been enhanced for the next time.
I'm sure there's like a privacy thing, but I was like, a one-way mirror would work a lot better because you can't see what's happening in the apartment. Anyway, it looked awesome, and it also felt very informed by Boondock Saints. Just the pistols akimbo, the camera like it was just very funny. Speaking of a movie that takes itself very seriously, with the exception of Willem Dafoe, doing his who's gay too. Can you believe how ironic? 2 movies about crime that had gay people in
This
it.
is all too ironic, guys. My brain's gonna explode.
What
We
are
can't
the
keep talking about such
chances?
ironic things.
All right. I think that's most of my main things. This is a movie that for me is nostalgic as well. It's one of those. So this movie didn't do super great in theaters, but is one of those movies that like cannot exist anymore. That made its whole budget back again solely on DVD sales. That doesn't even include Blu-ray. It doesn't include rentals, and it doesn't include it came out on like ultra high defin like DVD. This is like one of the few movies they tried it with, and everybody's like, no.
It looked great though.
I have one piece
Oh.
of trivia that I read about that I don't know if it's true or not. I'm assuming it is, and that I won't be embarrassed when I say it. Kalevra, which is his last name, is Hebrew for bad dog, which is obviously a good mirror of good cat, as the person who raised him, which is the
I think
first Willis character name.
I think they explicitly say that.
They really said that?
Yeah,
At the end
because
of the movie, they're like, Slevin,
Oops.
that's the name of the horse.
Well, I got
Kalevra
that
means
part.
Bad dog. And
Yeah,
then
that's-
he
he
shoots him right when he
explains.
says that. But
Okay.
I love that you said it because I forgot that it's the mirror of good cat.
Good cat. I
So
thought that was
that's
cool.
what I'm gonna hold on to.
I do remember them saying the thing about Slevin being the horse, obviously, but I missed the Kalevra thing. Well,
I was a little
that's on me.
distracted by the
You should've-
fact. Good.
No, you please.
All I want to say is I was a little distracted by the fact that it's the Dwayne Hoover fix-it guy from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That's the guy who was on the phone. You know, the guy who has like the escape van or whatever. We'll give you a new identity.
Uh-huh.
It's that same guy, and even his voice is like, "Yeah, so you know, there's a horse and there's dogs. Are you there? Hello."
Also,
sorry,
a young Corey Stoll who has gone on to have a great career, which is excellent.
A lot of good actors.
what were you gonna say, Devin? Hold on, I cut him off. Devin, the guy.
Clearly wasn't important because it's gone now.
Well, say
Do we
what
want to
we-
hear some IMDb tags?
yes,
Mhm.
tag us.
This I check for every movie, and sometimes they really disappoint. And the IMDb tags for this movie, they do not disappoint. I'm going to read them honestly, and in the order of relevance. This has been sorted by relevance, so somebody has voted that this is relevant. First one,
Can you do
original
it
story.
with a Hays Code effect?
Some of these won't pass the Hays Code. I'll tell you that.
Nice.
Ah,
Because the first one is original
expose
story,
penis.
but the
No
next one
feet on
is
floor.
bare butt.
Yeah.
Then we have assassin, organized crime, reference to Charlie Chaplin, gay, murder of a police
Oh,
officer,
didn't expect
That's
that.
ironic.
Manhattan, New York City. Not like a comma, but Manhattan, New York City, like all one word. Big fan of that. Year 1979.
All right.
Black garter belt, bare breasts, profanity,
Huh.
latex gloves, Cadillac Escalade, accounting ledger, man beaten, interrupted sex, reference to Columbo, ex-Israeli soldier, implied sex, gay date, chess match, shot with a silenced gun.
Wow.
Wow, I would have
And
argued that'd be
honestly,
the most
if Jordan
relevant.
had read that as the summary of the movie at the beginning, I think that would have nailed it.
Here's what we've got.
You've
We've got
gotten
gay date, chess, beaten man, bare butt, implied
Interrupted
sex.
sex.
Yeah. Oh,
It's so good. Those were some really top-notch tags. Big fan.
that's
Those
pretty
were really
incredible.
nice.
Yeah. Any other wrap up thoughts before we throw it to the unwashed masses? Great. Here we go. Well, Reuben P says, just want to say hi, and I've been a watcher for decades. Thanks for what you do. Have we been
Thanks,
around for
Reuben.
decades?
Thanks for watching.
I guess so.
No,
like a
he's.
decade and
I
a
mean,
half.
Ruben's been watching each of us for decades.
Yeah.
Each of us individually for decades.
He's the yeah. Skip.
You can continue. Finish your
I couldn't
bit.
think of the character. They assembled just like the Avengers.
Mm.
They're the Nick
I've heard of those.
Cannon.
The Nick
There it is.
Cannon. They're symboled by Nick Cannon and Drumline. Chad Gatling says, did you hear that Willis is the first actor to sell his likeness rights to a deepfake company? I did not know that, but I
It
did know that
sounds like
Dolly Parton is trying to sell like all of her sounds so that they can write new songs with her after she dies.
For
Oh.
sounds?
Well, I don't know what
Dolly
it
is
means.
the gift that keeps on giving.
I mean, I assume it's like Siri, like maybe you sing every note and with every vowel. I don't know, and every. I don't know. I don't.
Well, I mean,
I'm not a scientist.
You guys all, I'm sure, heard about the Darth Vader thing, right? Where
Yeah.
James Earl Jones is like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it anymore, but you can take my voice and do what you want.
Yeah.
So they invented an AI. I was listening to this on NPR because I'm cultured.
Ah,
They invented
That's
an
very
AI
cultured
where they
to say.
literally will have the AI listen to someone speak for 30 minutes, and in 30 minutes you'll make every sound that
No.
made in the English language.
That's too
And then
fast.
they use that AI to like reinsert dialogue after filming. So like if they're like, oh, we don't want to have to like redo the dialogue, they'll just type in the line and be like, okay, well, everybody's saved time and money.
Is every invention meant to screw actors out of money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it is.
Because
It-
One.
you have no idea how much money you can get for an ADR session.
I don't.
I don't.
Well,
the people who
lot.
invented the AI were like, we're trying to help the actors out because nobody wants to come back. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they would if they were getting
the
paid.
not famous
Yeah.
ones do. It's the best when they're like,
I don't have
"Oh, we didn't-"
anything going on.
Oh my gosh, you
Please
walk
bring
into
me
a
back.
room and there's like and they're just like, so we can see that you giggle at the door, but we didn't really get that in the thing. So just like give us a couple giggles, and you like watch yourself do it like 16 times. And you just give like 4 or 5 different giggles. And then they go, great. And then you get paid like a day rate for that whole session. I don't want any, if any AI is
Just
listening to
don't
this
laugh in
podcast
front
and
of
trying to
any
get my
robots.
laugh, I don't give permission. I want to come in for the ADR session. I want full SAG payment.
Brian, will you give us a couple of giggles?
Brian, we need a few
Hee hee
giggles.
hee, hoo hoo hoo, ha ha ha.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
That's good. We got all we need. We got all we
Brian?
need.
Yeah, we got everything
You're
we need.
fired.
I did think it was funny that in the most recent Star Wars show, Darth Vader kept going, and then he would say, "Suck at these balls," and I was like, "That's so weird."
Yeah.
Feels
That
like
seems
I thought
out
it
of
was weird that he
character.
kept saying,
Yeah, but
my
he-
wife, my wife. I was like, why is it Darth Vader saying my wife?
I was like, it's crazy they convinced James Earl Jones to do that. But it's a beautiful thing to see. All right, Anime Boobies is back, and has seen
Yay.
Pushing Daisies, and it made them hungry for apple pie.
For sure. When she makes that apple pie with like the Gruyere in it or something, that has like stuck with me for years.
Chad Gatling also points out that naked penis makes them think of a penis wearing a little outfit, which is to say that a naked penis implies the existence of a clothed penis.
100%. Little black turtleneck and glasses like Steve Jobs.
Oh,
Rise
yeah.
jeans.
From Atlanta.
That's like
Cute.
in
That's an image.
at the end of Funny People, or somewhere in Funny People in that movie, he's talking about how his ball hairs are going gray, and he wants to buy like a little tweed suit and stuff because it
I
feels like it's
remember
so
that scene.
distinguished.
I don't remember anything else from that movie. But
Yeah, I also want to say that my brain did a quick miswiring and confused it with Funny Games, which is a very scary break and enter horror movie. So I was like, when did I say that in that movie? That seems so out of character.
Stop stabbing me! My balls are old. Before I die,
let me put this little jacket on my
please, when you put me in my casket, can it be open and my balls have a tweed suit, tweed jacket? All right, so Graham Williams
Goatsy Superman.
says, yes, you are definitely onto something with the Pushing Daisies tone, a rom-com with added violence.
Yeah.
I hope that you're getting something out of this, Allie, because none of the three of us are. So
It's a
as
really
long
good
as
show.
you're
It's
having
all
fun,
on-
feelings of affirmation.
It's all on HBO Max and stuff now if you want to watch it. It just doesn't end very well because it kind of had a abbreviated whatever. But it's a really good show and it's very stylized, and it was the sort of introduction to Lee Pace on our TVs, which we can all be thankful for. Thank God we have Lee Pace.
Amen.
Forget the name of the female lead. I apologize for that, but she made me want bangs. Here I am 20 years later, got bangs. So what can I say?
she bangs.
She bangs. She was the first
Um,
person who ever said that, actually, I think.
Yes. Hi. She bangs. Okay, so Boobies also says, I fear that Kingsley is not acting. It's just the way he is. Probably true.
Yeah.
It's probably not true. But Michael Dieters wants us to know that plastic bags are bad for the environment, and I want to die green.
Yeah.
It's true. I would like to be strangled with a paper bag or like a
Those are actually just as bad.
Like a
There's
Pear. Is that true?
And if
Can I
you're not
use-
I guess, like,
reusing,
paper
if you're not
focus bag.
reusing the paper bags,
They're just
the
as wasteful.
energy that goes into creating the bag And plastic bags you can actually reuse longer most of the time.
Wow,
So-
wow,
Well, as long as we're all strangled by the same bag, surely that's
That's good. He should have strangled Ben Kingsley first, and
Right.
then Morgan Freeman.
except that, as we know, Ben Kingsley was trying to tongue his way out like Jesse would.
I was gonna say, in present day Manhattan, New York, all one word, one tag, you can't even get plastic bags anymore. They've kind of outlawed plastic bags. And so if Jesse had bit his way through the bag and Slevin went out to get a new bag, Jesse would still be alive today.
He would
I'm
just
right
Wouldn't have
here,
been another
guys.
bag.
I am alive.
Wow.
Guys, can you hear me?
That's amazing. Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu, name a better combo. I don't know. Any random two people, probably. What about them? I don't understand. They seem great.
Are they in a movie together? Is there a famous example of them performing
Speak to
together?
us, Reuben.
Are
Are you in the chat with us right now?
Are you
Is
seeing
Is this
Reuben in the room
Antonio
right now?
Banderas in the room with us?
They're in Ballistic X versus Sever. I have never heard of this movie.
I'm kind of afraid that
Well-
this is one of those things where, remember when I said Robert De Niro after all that time and didn't mean it? I think this is one of those moments.
Maybe.
A startling, inept film, Ballistic X versus Sever offers overblown wall-to-wall action without a hint of wit, coherence, style, or originality.
That doesn't sound like a
Catch
Lucy
us-
Liu I would love.
Catch us next week when we're reviewing.
Severs
movie.
versus X or whatever.
Jordan whispering is the ASMR I didn't know I needed.
I don't like that.
Sorry, I'm
I'm
just doing
anti that.
Jesse. I'm like, oh no, you're choking me, but
But I'm tonguing my way out of this bag.
Jordan has whispered both Devin and I to sleep. I don't
So-
know if he did that to you, Devin, but that's how I fell asleep
arousal,
when I stayed
certainly.
with Jordan.
1/4 of my family still dress like that. I don't know what they dress like because
I'm
forgot.
assuming that they are
Yeah.
referring to the low-rise jeans, but I'd prefer to believe they dress like Bugs Bunny, dressed up as a little big-titted scamp.
This is a fun fact. Culebra is Spanish for serpent, which is not the word that was used, but
But
a
is
fun
a fun
fact.
Yeah.
Now we've all learned something. Have you reviewed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? No, but it's a wonderful film, and I very much enjoy it.
Sounds very dirty though.
It's it's a little bit of that. Okay, alt titles. You ready, nerds?
Yeah.
We're gonna do. Let's do us first. Devin, do yours because it's the title of the thing.
500 Days of Snatched.
No, just Snatch.
Oh, sorry, 500 Days of Snatch.
Yeah.
That's funnier.
We didn't really
And-
mention it. Guy Ritchie was the other one that I was thinking. It was Tarantino and kind of Guy Ritchie movies. These
Yeah.
like over complicated, stylized crime kind of things that, like Snatch that were going on then. Lock, Stock, and Rock and Roller. More recently, The Gentleman, etc.
Etc.
Anything else from you, Devin?
That's all I got. That's you don't mess with success.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. If
I
only
have one, for
Zooey
once.
Deschanel was wandering around, kind of giggling with her bangs while people were getting their heads blown off. Go,
Prefer
Allie.
Lucy Liu in this movie to Zooey Deschanel. I think Lucy Liu nailed it.
She could have been in this movie, but she would have been like, I didn't have sugar in my apartment. It's so stupid. Is that good?
I
God, I'm so dumb. I just can't keep sugar in my apartment.
Well, now
Wow.
I'd like
We're
to see
workshopping
that
it.
version of the movie. If there's one with an entire reshoot with Zooey Deschanel acting that way.
When's the
For my
next showing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always keep my hands in dead bodies. Oh, that came out wrong. I can't get a date.
Whoa!
All right, go. What do you think?
Okay, my title is I've been through the desert on a horse with my name.
I've been through the desert with a
I
horse.
love
On a
that.
horse with my name. My name, because it's named after the horse. Slevin. Forget it, you uncultured
I loved
swine.
It was
I liked it.
hilarious. Jordan just is stupid.
I'm
Jordan
sorry.
doesn't know what a horse is.
Yeah, I mean, my other one was two
I own
corpses,
a
a
horse
rabbi, and a
immediately
pizza
at the
place.
beginning
So
of
that
this.
was my better option of the two.
I
what was the other
love
one?
it.
What was the other one? Sorry.
Two corpses, a rabbi, and a pizza place.
Oh, see, that was great.
Thanks.
They're both good though, so well done.
Yep. Great. Jesse, what do you got?
I got fuck shit Jesus
I
and
had that one too.
world class assassin fuckhead.
Good line.
Slash.
Great line.
Slash fuckhead. All I had a bunch and then I just deleted them before we started. So I had I'm gay, you're gay.
That's ironic.
That is very
That's
ironic.
Maybe that's what it should be. That's ironic, even though none of it is. All right, let's see what we got. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Hold the bacon.
Yeah, it's
Six-
just Kevin.
6
funny.
degrees of Kevin. Oh right. Wait, who the hell's Kevin?
You're mispronouncing Slevin.
6 degrees of Slevin bacon.
Levin bacon.
I hate it.
We all
Okay.
hate
I like it. I don't know that I get it, but I like it.
Michael Dieters says, "Now that's a story."
That is
Good.
actually a good one.
Somebody put Kansas City Shuffle because, of course.
Oh yeah.
The most punchable face in New York. I actually think it's the most punchable stomach in New York. Right? He gets punched in the stomach.
He gets his nose
hold
broken
the bacon
like twice or
because
whatever.
he's
Because he's a rabbi.
kosher.
Oh,
Mm.
there
Wow.
we go.
Workplace nicknames: the Secret Killers. Okay. Bad dog. Pretty good. A
Mm.
man called Horse. There you go. I get that.
We're on the same page here, I feel.
I like that. A Josh called Horse. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Wait. We already covered that.
That's a long title.
Columbo implied sex.
Yeah. It is just crazy that she mentions
just one
Columbo
more
and doesn't
thing.
say anything about Columbo. It just is just so
Maybe
nutty
you
to
just
me.
missed that one. Maybe you missed
No.
It's not possible.
I've seen a lot of Columbo.
I don't know who I'm buying the saddle for. I guess that's in reference to they call you a horse, you punch him in the nose. They call you a horse again,
yeah.
you say I'm sorry. If they call you a horse third time, maybe you got to start looking for a saddle, which is a little
Ben
confusing.
Kingsley's on point.
Yeah, that was such a good
If
Ben
you close your
Kingsley.
eyes, it feels like he's here with us.
Do you want me to do Ben Kingsley and Gandhi?
Yes,
I want to
No.
see.
I
wanna
don't. I
see-
won't have my face on screen with it if
immediately
you
ripped
do.
off of YouTube.
I want to see an improv dialogue between Ben Kingsley and Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah, yeah.
Your word is horse.
I really enjoy. When I was a kid, I liked doing the Indian accent a lot.
Sucks.
But I don't think now is a good time to.
Probably not a good time to debut what you've been working on since you were 8 years old.
Okay, here it is. What are you gonna do? Fire me again? I'm just kidding. I'm not fired yet.
There
Hobo
was a-
Habsburg says props for reviving Cracked. So
Oh,
we did get
Welcome.
one cameo from Michael Swaim. So look that up. Michael Swaim on Cracked. We got a cameo from
Jason Pargin.
Jason Pargin coming up next week
Very
again.
soon.
There's a couple, but it's
Devin
hard.
Slevin.
Devin.
Oh, lucky number Devin. I'd like to also pitch that.
That's fun.
I'm surprised that nobody did the boss and the
Rabbi's Infinite Playlist.
Yeah.
I was actually scrolling through HBO Max recently, and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist is on is at the top of their leaving soon
Oh no!
scroll, and I was like, no,
Michael Cera, no!
Jesse's favorite movie. It's
I
leaving
still haven't
soon.
seen it yet.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah.
I just
on.
like to say it.
Panic at the Penthouse. There's something.
Oh,
Murder at the
yeah.
Penthouse.
God, at the morgue.
Interrupted sex at the disco.
Interrupt sex.
I think it's bare butt! Exclamation point at the disco.
Bare butt? Question mark?
Okay, great. I think that's it, right? And then we're done with these things. So, where can we find you, Devin? Plug your website.
Where do you
counselor.
practice?
Honestly, I don't know if I want you to find me. Professional, personal boundaries. So just know if you live in Fluvanna and need counseling services, you can look us up on Google.
Say Devin's
Look up
name
counseling
7
in Fluvanna
times
and you'll
in
find
the
me.
mirror.
But other than that, I don't need anyone knowing where I am. I occasionally will like or comment on Jordan's Twitter stuff though, but I don't know what my Twitter handle is. So
Yeah.
I'm the silent observer on Twitter.
Juicy Thighs, man. Where can we find you?
Inside a pair of low-rise jeans.
Yeah.
Spilling
Eisemann.
out. Just blossoming from them. Yeah.
You wrote that joke down right when we mentioned it the first time. This is the closer.
No, it didn't. Yeah, find me on Twitter at Eisemann.
Allie?
Done.
Same thing. You can find me on Twitter or all other places at Miss Alice Nutting. That's MSALICE NUTTING. Although I will change it to Rat Boy 10 Pin Bowling at any time. I'll totally change my whole everything.
Noted. You can find me on the Twitter at _J_breeding. And also, I'm just going to keep plugging it till they fire me. I also have a YouTube channel where I might put something someday. So if you look up Dr. Jordan Breeding, I'm wearing an astronaut helmet. So who knows? That's my backup plan. So if I get fired, go over there. Oh, God.
They're just going to take this video and learn your voice and make videos with your voice
Ooh, yeah.
from here on to the rest of the future. And you're going to be like, I didn't even say that. But it's going to be like cracked.
Yeah. Hello, Internet.
Dr.
Top
Jordan
10
Breeding.
wackiest scenes in The Matrix.
No, it sounds very natural. I need you to understand. It doesn't sound like a robot.
I don't like that at all.
They learn your
That's-
speech patterns.
It's just how Jordan talks.
Dave
Dave-
Gushy Walsh. We did an entire pilot episode of
Of Pacific Rim, where I
Man.
pulled out the fact that I own the Pacific Rim coffee table art book. That's how
Yeah.
serious my love for this goes. I really do love that movie.
Serious.
And I think I probably have deleted all the information on it because it was embarrassing to hear Allie speak so highly.
We never
of that
posted
book.
it.
I know, but I think
We
I
should-
probably have deleted the
We should
Look,
re-record it.
correct. It doesn't give me a hard drive budget, so
Mm.
we run out of space real fast. So I'm always deleting things. That's fine. All right. You can't go looking for it, Dave. It was never posted. You will not find it. Unless you can hack my like Google Drive or something.
Which
All
I
right.
can.
That's it, everyone. Goodbye. Devin, thank you for finally
Thanks,
coming
Devin.
on.
Thank you, Devin.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It was great. This is a really fun movie. Thanks for making us watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the best movie of all time. Do not downplay how good the movie is.
All right. That's it. I'm saying bye and I'm hitting the button.
Bye and hitting the button.